He's describing here the experience of the individual, the human, who is mingling with the transcendent. In the transcendent, there is no world, no time, no space, no manifestation, no existence, no separation. You become like a wave in the ocean, completely one with that. So that is the experience of the Spirit's freedom and greatness. The Spirit is becoming one with the Absolute, with the highest. As when a timeless eye annuls the hours, abolishing the agent and the act, so now his spirit shone out, wide, blank, pure. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write. Because he's completely empty of himself. His individual self is completely erased. So that the timeless I annuls the hours. The I is the witness, the consciousness of the witness, of the eternal presence, which is not, ineffable, cannot be described. It is a presence and yet it is not a being. It's just a consciousness. The I is the consciousness, the absolute, annuls the hours. So it's a play of hour is time, something that is beyond time. The whole experience of this liberation is that you enter into a state beyond time. So he has become one with that, abolishing the agent, abolishing the act. There is no individuality, there is no separation, there is no sense of action. There only is that. What exists is only that. The I, the world, the universe is lost in that oneness. So now, his spirit shone out. Only pure spirit. The individual being has gone. Spirit is formless. Spirit is indefinable. Blank. Bright. Free of unconsciousness. Free of the lower nature. Free from inertia. Free from the downward pull. Wide. Blank. Pure. His vacant mind became an empty slate. Mind, the instrument of knowledge, is no longer a mind that is half asleep. In our mind, there is a great field of darkness, of error, of ignorance. It's empty. The mind is not working in its normal state. The mind is a faculty that is completely empty. He is describing the experience of the shunya, the Vedantic shunya, and this is a description of the Buddha. The mind becomes empty. You can see thought waves come in, go out. The mind does not respond. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write. The three aspects of the divine, the transcendent above, the universal around, the individual within. The individual and the universal are different aspects of the same transcendent. So the role as if of the human individual is to become an instrument of these consciousness of the supreme, of the universal divine. That is the role. So he is totally passive, totally empty. Of course, the first condition, you have to empty yourself of yourself, your separate self. There is no sense of division. I am not me. I am not even, I don't know, there is no I to speak about. There is only that. The individual does not exist as a separate identity. The soul is the one. The soul is the divine, not the individual. The individual is as a formation of one aspect of the divine which all of us actually embody, the Jivatman. But the soul here is the absolute, the highest. The highest that is there at the origin, the Supreme. The Supreme manifests himself in all things. Whatever is not that, whatever is full of the vibrations and in the substance of darkness and error of mind, of the untransformed nature, that is eliminated from him. He's coming out of the body, of the life, of the mind, of our human nature. There is no transformation here. There is a liberation. The being has, as if, entered into another state. This is the supreme liberation. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load. Because in us there is so much that represses. You know what is to repress? That resists, that fights back. There is always the divine presence, the light, the consciousness, the divine universal truth is everywhere. But why don't we respond to it? Why don't we as individuals recognize it? Because there is so much that obstructs. It's like as if we are surrounded by an ocean of light, but in our being there is blocked. The block of ignorance, of unconsciousness, of inertia, resistance, ego, all these is what keep us cut off from the origin. The whole answer is you become one with the origin. You go back to the origin. The origin was at this, he created the universe. We don't even know if it was he. It's that. The nameless, indescribable power and consciousness. One becomes one with that. Always that image of the ocean. The river that loses itself in the ocean. There is no river. It's only a temporary expression. The aim of the river is to reach the ocean. And then there is no longer a river. This is the human journey, to move towards that. And then the separate individual is lost in that, or is freed in that, not lost, is fulfilled. You're fulfilled in that state. You become one with the Absolute. This is the experience that he's describing, the Vedantic experience of the Supreme Brahman. But in us, this is the purpose of existence at a certain stage. There is a great deal of repression, of resistance, because we are so attached to our separateness.
All that represses our fallen consciousness.
That is why, because our consciousness has fallen, you are cut off from that origin. The whole problem of human suffering is that we are cut off from the origin. We separate ourselves from that. If I suffer, who is it that suffers? I. But if I am that, there is no question of suffering. And that's just the movement of the supreme force. But I have created a wall, an island in which I live, cut off from that universality. And that is why we suffer. That is why we are ignorant. We have to lose ourselves. We have to wipe off ourselves completely. For any spiritual liberation, the first condition, as Mother always says, is the abolition of the ego. The ego helps as long as we are in the evolving world and we reach a mental state, we identify ourselves with our present development, and it is required. Up to a point it is required. You develop your faculties, your powers, all your different parts of your being. You can develop them to their maximum, the body, the life. You purify, you perfect yourself. After you have done that, lose it. As Mother says, it's like building a house. You build a house brick by brick. Your ego helps you to build your individuality. After you have built your house, remove it brick by brick. That is the whole thing. Break it down. You don't exist. All that, but we don't. We are so attached to the separateness. That is our fallen consciousness. This is the whole secret, that we have to go back to where we come from. The going back is not something we often want to do. We get attached to our separate identity. That is the whole problem. That is the forgotten load. This was taken from him. That sense of separate identity was taken from him like a forgotten load. It's over for him. A fire that seemed the body of a god consumed the limiting figures of the past, breaking out of the whole long journey of evolution from below upwards, and then as if you are lost in the absolute. A fire that seemed the body of a god. That fire becomes almighty. You have to use, he's using images. What is the body of a god? A being who, a god is a being, or a god is a principle. He's not a being, he doesn't wear a form necessarily. He's just a force. A force, fire is energy. Fire purifies. Fire breaks down, burns all the impurities. Fire destroys. That is the whole purpose of our change, the growth from the lower to the higher. It is not for nothing that the first sutras, stotras in the Vedas are addressed to Agni. It's from Agni. Agni burns down. Agni purifies. Agni rises up from the earth upwards to the sky. This is the whole plan of the human evolution, change, growth. So it is this fire, the force that is there in all things, the universal principle. It is so dynamic. And it is this that consumes. To burn, actually consume doesn't mean to eat. It really means to burn. To eat is burning also. So it burns down this last resistances, the limiting figures of the past. It is this that holds us back, the past. Because we live by the past. From the past we are moving to the present, from the present to the future. The past is our base, our starting point. It is this that holds us back. It is this which does not allow us to be liberated. First thing, forget the past. If you want to be liberated, wipe off. It is like Mother says, you are newborn at every second. To be born at every second, you become a part of a universal consciousness. You have no past. Or you live in eternity. There was no past. Once upon a time, there was a person. This person has grown from the small to the great. This person is not a person. He has become one with the Absolute. There is no past. There is the eternal. There is the infinite, in which there is no line of, or no journey of time. Time follows the journey. Step by step we move. And that holds us. A journey keeps us from wandering here and there. When you have decided, up to a point it is necessary. But that journey of the past is what holds us back. To say, I am a human being, I cannot become more than a human being. Because I have never been like that. Man has never become a god. He has never been transformed into a complete embodiment of the divine. So it can never be done. Which is the exact opposite of what Mother says. It has never been done, therefore it has to be done. Because this is what attaches us. Once upon a time, we are very attached to all the stages of growth that we have passed through. The stages of growth are not necessarily constant. We fall back. We grow from ignorance to a little light and then go back to ignorance. Every day ends in night, every night ends in day. It's a circular pattern. You get fixed. That is why the limit. The human stays within the circuit of time. He rises, he falls. He goes to sleep and then he wakes up. You wake up inside. You become aware of your potentialities, you become aware of your capacities, you open to new modes of expression, and then you lose contact. This is our journey. We forget to stay in touch with that. That you becomes once again attached to its separateness. So that sense of separation, division, is what is no longer there for Ashwapati. This is the journey of liberation from spirit's freedom, and that is when you become the universal. That is when you become the transcendent. The you doesn't exist. It is there very beautifully described in Mother's essay, I don't know if you have read it, The Supreme Discovery. The Supreme Discovery, where she says the individual is le grand moi universel. Moi is the I, the son cœur. The supreme and the individual are one. Usually there are two I's. There's the surface I, the surface ego, the surface personality, which is what you say, this is Akshay, and this is Archana. They are recognizable by their outlines, by their features, by their natures, by their behavior, and these are all limits. Now these features, these outlines, these capacities are not going to remain stuck in time. You can grow out of these things. You don't have to remain fixed in these things, but we have drawn fixed images. This is the whole problem. To allow oneself to give up oneself and to become absolutely one with the highest. There is no self. That is why it is consumed, it is burnt up. You need a body of a God, a dynamic force. Eternity's contact broke the molds of sense. The senses are what connects us with the world around us. I am a separate person. I relate to the world around me through my senses, touch and smell and taste and so on. They are a fixed mold. That's what my personality is. But when I am one with the eternal, the I doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. This is what Mother, towards the end of her physical existence on earth, kept on repeating. There is no I, there is no person, there is only that. The individual is not a separate entity. The separation is as long as we are half ignorant, which is more in a way more dangerous than being completely simple, like a flower or a piece of cloth. It is totally ignorant, so it has no demands, it doesn't make any sense of distinction. You are one with that. But if I think I am somebody, I've learnt this, I've developed this, I've acquired this, I've done this, the I becomes harder and harder and harder to give up. It is the whole problem of existence at a certain stage. This has to go, it has to break the molds of sense. A greater force than the earthly held his limbs. Huge workings bared his undiscovered sheaths. So this sense, for greater force than the earthly. Earth is one manifestation. There are many levels of manifestation. Earth is just one. Earth as we know it. Above the earth there is another earth. And that has its own sky. Above that is another world. This is the whole range of occult experiences. That are layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and this is what will be developed in Book 2. He is making the journey of the different planes of consciousness. Plane after plane after plane. So there are energies that are invisible, unknown to... It's all a play of energy. It's a combination of different vibrations, different forces. The physical world is the most dense. Above the physical world, there is another subtle world. It is another world. It has no sense of deterioration or decay. It has not this outer thick coating of dense matter. But it has a form. It has a form, like it's a world, but it doesn't have a material world. In your mind also you have a world. You have forms that pass through your mind, but they don't have a physical form. It doesn't have a physical contact. So this is the whole play. The worlds are not just what we see. There are so many worlds that we do not see. As he is liberated from ignorance, he sees the play of all these multiple universes. There's not just one universe, one after the other. They repeat themselves in time. Again and again they are recreated, and they are always renewed. They repeat exactly the same. At every stage, the manifestation of that aspect of consciousness, that power, manifests itself for what is required at that time. There were ages when force was required. There were different ages where, for the sake of evolution, light was required. So it was the age of light. There was another age when love was required, harmony, and so on. All the time, the play of different energies. We are all divine energies, take different aspects, different manifestation. They are not the same thing that is. It is not. It's a state of constant renewal, a constant recreation. To repeat absolutely exactly what was in the past will keep us tied to the incapacity to go forward. This is an attachment. This is a difficulty. This is our lack of freedom. To free ourselves, the first thing for that, to liberate yourself from attachment, as the Buddha also said, liberate yourself from desire. Desire is the bondage, it's the attachment. Then you are free. That's the first stage of freedom. So he is no longer the individual who has desires, who has a vital, physical, mental sense of I am in the world, I am not in the world only, I am the world. I am not the world, I am beyond the world. I am not beyond only this world of what we can perceive, beyond what we cannot perceive. Even that we have to acquire as if we are growing constantly. It's like growing higher and higher, reaching the highest levels of existence, reaching the highest state of consciousness. Then you are one with the highest. It's like a mountain peak. That's the highest mountain peak that bursts into the sky, goes above the clouds, and almost is in touch with the supreme light. It catches the sun. The sun is the supreme. Slowly on the lower slopes, as they come down, the clouds come, the dimness comes, the sense of not being capable of expressing the total light. So there is darkness, there is heaviness, there is dullness. This is the journey of fall, which has to become the starting point of a rising. And the whole play of the yoga of Sri Aurobindo is that we have come down into the world of darkness, into the world of error and pain, not to stay there and complain, but make it a kind of a, you might say, stepping stone, or a kind of a jumping pad to rise higher and higher. Higher and higher, this is what the yogis always did. Whichever goal was reached, something higher still was waiting to be realized. And Sri Aurobindo was himself doing this experience. He has made notes of it in his record of yoga. That level of consciousness he has arrived at. And then beyond this another. And then beyond this is another. And there are layers and layers. He has made a note, if we have the time and we can take the trouble to look at it. It's very difficult for us to see. But in the book, The Hour of God, He's given us all the stages. Have you seen it? The Supreme. And do you know where the human mind starts? On the fourth page. Not the first, not the second, not the third. It's on the fourth page where man, the human mind, starts to manifest itself as a field of conscious experience. Before that, it is beyond the mind. Plane upon plane upon plane. The journey is very long. It is not swift. It can be swift if you can just lose yourself in the divine without a sense of a separation. So strange energies wrought. Wrought is worked. They were working. Past tense of work, old English past tense is wrought. But usually wrought is used when you work on very hard, resistant material like metal. You have to hammer, you have to beat, you have to really break down the resistance. So in us, the resistance is very hard. The energies, therefore, sometimes the blows, sometimes destruction, sometimes failures come. They are really energies that are at work to break down our little self, to break down the walls of our being. And screened tremendous hands. This is the power of the divine, the grace, the wisdom, as if like hands that know what they are doing. Energies work in a most concrete manner almost. That those forces come down into the world of matter. It's not something up in the air. Unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze. We are trapped in the mind. So it is as if the power of divine light, knowledge, wisdom came down to break down the walls of mind. That is, mind is tied to the body. It is supposed to have three aspects. The ordinary human mind has three aspects. One is reason, which is systematic. One is imagination or creativity, the ability to make real what is not physically there, but to have a vision that this can be done. Supposing we do this, there's an opening in the mind, whereas reason is orderly, imagination is not necessarily orderly, but it is a kind of ability to build, not with forms, but with thoughts, with ideas. You build a possibility, you say this can be done, this is possible. This is the function of the mind. The creation is a conception. The imagination gives us a conception, this is possible. And then, perhaps, in the world of reason or in the world of matter, we make that conception, we realize it. So first you have to have an idea, and then you realize that idea, you make it into fact. The third aspect, that even the average human mind, if it is capable of achieving anything, it has to become more than average simply by the power of will, volition. It is not enough to imagine, it is not enough to dream, it is not enough to understand. It is necessary to put it into execution. Anything the human being wants to do, he has to make it happen. So that dynamic energy has to be there to make it happen. So these are the three aspects of the mind. Some have one aspect, some focus on another aspect. All three aspects, when they are fully developed, you have a mental being who can create that which is not yet created. It is very helpful at a certain stage. You build a new possibility and make it a reality. Out of the lesser, you make a greater world. This is the creation. There are geniuses who do that. They see something in their head. They say, how should we do it? We can do it. With what? With the help of thought, with the help of a certain mastery of the world of matter and life as well. Mind teaches us the mastery of the world of matter and life. So it is a world of great achievement, sometimes so satisfying that we stop there. I've done this, I've created something that never existed before. This is not just a create, you might say, you build anything, whatever you want to make, you build a new city. But there has to be a consciousness behind. So that is necessary. Why do I want to build a city? Why does Mother, for instance, want to build a city? It needs a mastery over the thoughts and ideas and plans and possibilities that can express themselves. But there has to have, behind it, there has to be a consciousness, an awareness of the truth it stands for. While we are busy working in the world of matter, we sometimes forget that connection with the Supreme. So this is why the Godhead's gaze, the divine presence, the divine guidance, the divine grace, which has to be there. Mind has to accept that I have to open myself to the influence of something greater. Mind has a tremendous ego. It represents the highest that the human mental being has arrived at. It thinks it understands everything. And up to a point, it has led the human journey. But it can take us further when we realize that you have to unwind the mind. We are tied up in the mind. This is where the supermind comes in. Slowly, it is not something that is divided, separated from the origin. Mind cuts us away from the origin. So, these strange energies and screened tremendous hands unwound the triple cord of mind. Because otherwise, our mental individuality, which is much more organized, the life forces are disorganized, but the mind can become very organized, clear, well arranged, but that itself makes it fixed. Plans, rules, ideas, all these things. You reach that point, then you go beyond. These things will keep us trapped in the mind. We have to break out of that. But how do we do it? Mind is an instrument of knowledge. I am this, I understand this much, I can create this much. But the wisdom that is of the divine is not through knowledge. It is through identity. I am that. When I realize I am not seeing the divine, I am not attempting to do something well, correctly, perfectly. Even a great mind will try to do something well, something correctly, something beautifully, something harmoniously. But the mind as a separate instrument is still there. When that is replaced by, there is no mind. There is only that force in the universe, the divine force that is at work, using me as just a medium. My mind is a medium, it's an instrument, it's a channel. It's like an empty, you might say, canal, empty of itself, at which the light is pouring through and expressing itself as it wills, not as I will. Often, therefore, we ask ourselves, why does the divine do this? Why should the divine do what I approve of? This is what we like. Why does, when there is disorder or there is war or there is violence, we say, why does the divine do this? The answer is, why not? Maybe it is necessary. Why should he do what I think he should do? Why should the forces work according to my understanding of what the way the forces should work? My understanding is so small. How little can I grasp? When I break out of that smallness, you accept. Surrender is a form of total acceptance. He knows best what is happening. I don't have to. So that cord tying me when you're like a prisoner, a prisoner of regularity, it is necessary, but then you have to come out of that prison. For a long time you have to be in prison. You grow in the prison. The consciousness grows when it is within a certain stage of, you might say, restrictions. Helps us to acquire power. After we come out of the restrictions, we enter into another plane. So, as through a dress, the wearer's shape is seen, they reach through forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and transcendent sight. It is as if the outer manifestation is a clothing, is a garb. Within it is the being. We notice the outer form. You say, this person is beautiful, this person is wearing very elegant clothes. Our attention is on the outside, to recognize what is within, what is really growing inside, to see through forms, to see the absolute, to see the perfect hidden in the form. Every manifestation, even in the world of matter, is a projection of the divine consciousness. To be able to see that, we don't see that usually, we see the outer form. This is where you arrive at a cosmic feeling. All is part of the same consciousness. Everything is part of the same play of the divine. You are one with the all. I am not a separate individual. I'm a drop in the ocean. A drop in the ocean doesn't have its identity as a separate drop. If I keep my sense of drophood, I am not part of the ocean. I may live in the ocean, but I still am not part of the ocean. This is what happens with even great realized beings. If they are attached to their own individuality, their own realization, this is where we stop at the overmind. This person has acquired this. He has arrived at this state of consciousness. This light has come to him and he is satisfied with that. He can't go further. Again and again, Mother's repetition, I am nothing. Je suis un véritable zéro dans le monde. She's saying that. In her prayers she says that I am a zero. I am a zero is the all. A zero has no beginning and no end. It is eternal, it is infinite. It is not a separate identifiable thing. We are so attached to our separateness, and that is why the instruments have to get so increased. A cosmic feeling and transcendent sight. You rise to the highest. Increased and heightened were the instruments. The instruments of man, mind, life and body. Each aspect of our being has its sense of absolute. The body has the sense of something that is a material, solid expression of reality. Reality is not something only, the supreme reality is not something in the air, it exists in the world of matter. Life is what? Force. Play of different forces. Sometimes harmonious, sometimes powerful. One aspect of life is power, the other aspect of the higher vital is love and harmony. Mind as the instrument of mind, light. So these we have to some degree to heighten these. When mind becomes only light, when the heart center is only harmony and love, when the vital center is only power without ego, when the body is simply a material translation of spirit. Matter is spirit, body is spirit. There is no opposition between spirit and matter. When these happen, then illusion lost her aggrandizing lens. This is what we do. With our blindness, we aggrandize the small, we focus on small things. We are not one with the absolute highest. That is when you say, we are in error. We make the small look vast. My problems, you say they are problems. They are not mine. I am not there. I am one play of the divine energy. Whatever the divine energy wants is playing through my embodiment. So the problems become small in the universal game. What role do I have? Nothing. It's just a tiny fragment of time. We focus so much on ourselves. The whole problem of existence is that we're totally focused on ourselves. Become one with the highest, one with the absolute. The self as an individual existence ceases to be. Therefore, as from her failing hand, the measures fell, illusion. Her is illusion. You have the sense of our judgment. The balance is held by the mind. You know, you have an image of justice or mind holding a balance. And that is how you decide what is right, what is wrong. In the image of law, justice, holding a balance. It swings more to one side.
Eyes.
Huh. Eyes are closed, so it is the balance that weighs.
निकाल दिया
Huh?
The blindfold thing was there, no?
Yes.
With the lady. The blindfoldness has been removed last year.
That,
It has been removed from the statue, which represents law.
so that is the whole thing. We
It's not done. That's what.
sense of judgment. This is right. This is not right. This is punishable. This should have been given a reward. And all these things, these small things occupy all our attention of our notion of right, of truth, of justice, of peace, of goodness, all these things. These measures, standards, measures are standards. And we make standards for ourselves. And we have to live up to those standards for a long time. A point comes when the standards are left, they are removed. Atomic looked at things that loomed so large, so large. Things that loom large. All our little problems become so big. We're one with the Supreme, no problems. We have difficulties, no problems. You see the image of, say, the Lord, Sri Aurobindo. Outwardly, when he fell, he had the accident. It was a serious accident. What was his response? A smile. He did not say it's hurting. He did not say, he only smiled. Does it hurt? He was asked, smiles. That's all.
One can get over pain, he says.
Huh?
Even he had scorpion bite also, no?
Huh?
He had scorpion bite also.
That is the scorpion. That is consciously transforming it into joy. But this thing, his body went through this, where he had absolutely detached himself almost from that experience, because they were large actually. The purpose of Sri Aurobindo, what he was doing was, he knew that darshan is coming, and as always the dark forces come to really obstruct the play of light. It's a play of light and darkness. He knew the dark forces are coming, but he was busy concentrating on not letting the dark forces touch the mother. It was as if protecting the mother, not himself. And so he fell. He slipped and fell and broke his thigh bone, and it was impacted, and all the rest that follows, all the problems that follow from there. And The physical body went through whatever it had to go through. But the detachment of this consciousness, it was something that they marveled at. And when they were asked, "Sir, does it hurt?" He would not answer, he would just smile. It doesn't hurt. The sense of pain is so tied to our inability to recognize the play of forces.
Actually, Jubati, that type of fracture is very painful.
Very painful. And it had impacted.
The bones get one over the other, so it is very painful. So the first thing we do usually is to put the bones in place so that the pain subsides. The rest we think of it afterwards. It just struck me when you were talking about
Yes, because also
very painful.
the mother was aware and she was more concerned because she knew the sacrifice he had made for her. And when they called the expert, the physician, not the radiologist only, the physician, and he said, "You do massage, you do this, you do that." She was asking questions which are so specific. He asked, where did she have the knowledge that if by pressing something, supposing a vein, supposing some muscle is torn, then what? So how did she know the way the body works? She knew it. The first thing she did was actually, when she came, she prostrated herself in front of the bed. She offered her prayers. She lay down there, prostrated. And then she was all the time following it up in the most scientific manner, whereas he was as if detached. Nothing. No, the sense of being no longer part of this thing. But he would do, slowly as he got well, he would do whatever he's told. He says, "You have to do some exercise." All right, he would do exercise. The doctor said, "You have to hang your leg," once he got better. So when he was asked, "What are you doing?" Dr. Manilal had gone back to Gujarat. From there he would ask, "What are you doing now?" "Hanging my leg." But it is as if he is not part of the whole experience. Somewhere he is beyond it. That is exactly what was so wonderful. So, they were not atomic at all from the physical point of view, but he was far above that. The little ego's ring could join no more. That's it. We live within the circle of the ego. We are caught, it's like a separate unit. It is described sometimes elsewhere as an island. An island in the middle of the sea of life, the ocean of life. I am a separate unit and I live because of this and by this unit. But the circle had broken now. It's become part of the whole. That when you want to widen and heighten and liberate your consciousness, that ring has to break. The first condition for change is breaking down the absolute walls of the ego. The little ego's ring could join no more. In the enormous spaces of the self, the body now seemed only a wandering shell. It did not have its claim to a separate existence. Otherwise, our body is solid, it has its claim to a separate existence. This hurts, I'm hungry, I'm sleepy, I want this, I'm going to have this. None of this. His mind, see the change that is taking place. The body, he has withdrawn his consciousness, his dependence on the body. The body goes on, but the attachment and dependence on it is gone. His mind, the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant. His spirit breathed a superhuman air. This is the beginning of entering into a new level of existence. The many frescoed outer court. Frescoes are designs, wall paintings that are done. Our mind always receives images, thoughts. They make images, like the outer courtyards of he explains this symbolically in the Indian temple. As you enter the first courtyards of the temple, a lot of sculptures, lot of paintings, lot of, you might say, decorations. As you enter deeper and deeper, these reduce. As you enter into the inmost sanctum sanctorum, bare, empty. There is no light even. The light is in the spirit. It becomes darker, outwardly darker. It becomes simpler and simpler. When you're on the outside, there are lots of decorations. Our mind is like that. It's always full of pictures, images, thoughts, opinions, ideas, responses. As you enter, it becomes quieter. You enter deeper and deeper, the inhabitant, the being, alone exists, nothing else exists. This is the liberation from the mind and the body. So it was breaking out of the human.
This experience in Khajuraho temples, outside it is very much calm.
All.
And when you enter inside, because it's no longer worshipped, so you can feel that difference. Inside, the walls are absolutely bare.
Empty. He gives this image. All of them, all temples. Even here you go to the Ganesh temple. Outside, especially South Indian temple, so many images, so many gods, so many, everything is there, the whole universe. On the lowest level you have the inferior creatures, the asuras, the dark forces. Slowly you have plants, trees, human beings, all gods, goddesses, this and that. At the top, nothing. At the very top there is no image. There is a half moon, a crescent. Nothing is there. It's indescribable. So it is a climbing, it's a symbolic climbing of moving from level to level to level to level. You see the truth according to the level on which you are. If you are on a particular level, you see the truth from that point. You rise to another level, those have come. Those are not important. You go to another level. You reach the topmost, you enter into that vastness, that emptiness. That emptiness is the infinite, the absolute. It's nameless, shapeless,